Shalom, I'm Nama Rue. This is my husband, Rabbi David Rue. We are shooting these videos in our home in Israel, where we live, and we are approaching the 7th year of a 7-year cycle, the Shmita year, and I am learning the background and the laws that apply to gardening and produce, because I won't be able to garden next year the normal way. And we've been talking about the sanctity of the food.
Don't get depressed because you lose your garden.
No, I'm really excited because I'm just gonna put it out there. Like, they call me a guerrilla gardener because I don't spend a lot of time in my garden. I just let things grow. I let a lot of the produce just falls, or I let it go to seed. I don't cut out plants before they develop seeds. I feel that there's sanctity in seeds as my personal experience, and so sometimes I collect the seeds, but a lot of seeds always fall. And last year, for example, we had hundreds of coriander plants and so much cilantro for sauces and pestos this year. It was really great. And I even started using the stems for sauces. And so I hope that in the Shmita year, we're going to have tons of dill and parsley and more coriander and all kinds of other. I actually have volunteer tomatoes and tomatillos growing this year from last year, but the big difference will be I won't have to worry about tending them and keeping space between them, but I do worry about weeds choking them out.
Well, there are 613 mitzvahs, 613 commandments in the Torah. The Gemara toward the end of Makos says, Torah tziva lanu Moshe. The Torah has the gematria of 611, and the first two mitzvos of Anochi Hashem Elokecha and Asher Hotzisi Mi'aretz Mitzrayim, I am the Lord your God, is one, and that I take you out of the land of Egypt is two. We heard directly from God. So we heard 611 from Moshe, 2 directly from God. That's a total of 613 mitzvahs. So one of the, let's say, fun things that rabbis did in the Middle Ages and later, and earlier, was to come up with a minyan mitzvahs. What are the 613 mitzvahs? And the most famous of these is the Sefer Mitzvahs of the Rambam, Maimonides. And about half of it is he puts out different principles which determine whether something is a mitzvah or not. The Ramban, Nachmanides, a little bit later, their lives overlap by about 5 years, wrote Hasagot, wrote objections, sometimes taking out some mitzvahs, and since he takes out some, he has to put some in. So when you look through Sefer Mitzvahs of the Rambam, you will not find any place that there is a mitzvah to eat produce of the Shmita year. However, in his Hasagot, the Ramban, in his notes, his disagreements, the Ramban says that there in fact is the third mitzvah that he adds, the third positive mitzvah he adds, mitzvah shlishit, the third mitzvah, sha'amra Torah b'eresh shviz, that the Torah told us concerning the fruit of the sabbatical year in the beginning of Parshas Bahar, that this will be a sabbatical year for the land, a year of rest for the land, for you to eat. And the rabbis learned you can eat it, you can't sell it. You can't do business with it. What does this come? And it also says in Parshas Mishpatim, and the poor will eat it with you. It doesn't say that you will leave it over for them, like it says concerning Leket Shechan Peah, the mitzvahs of leaving when you're harvesting. If you pass by something, you have to leave it for them, or the corner of the field that you have to leave it from, as we talked about in our first series. But Avalashon Achila, it says it's eating. Mazkir behem haksub b'kol makom. It says all over the place. V'hinei osei schor behem over ba'asei. So if someone sells it, they've transgressed the mitzvah, and it's given to you to eat. So eating it is in fact a mitzvah. You fulfill a positive commandment to eat perish feast according to the Ramban. The Megillas Esther say 500 years ago approximately, he was an Italian rabbi who wrote primarily disagreements of the Ramban.
What was his name?
The Megillah, I don't remember his name.
Okay.
I can't tell you that.
But what are you calling this? Then what?
It is a commentary essentially defending the Rambam from the objections of the Ramban.
Okay.
And he says, nearly, Kimashalo Mana Harav. It appears to me that the fact that the Rambam did not count this in his number of 613 mitzvahs, is that what our rabbis expounded, that you have it to eat and not to sell, it's not to say that there's a mitzvah to eat it, that you're allowed to eat it, not to make business out of it. You're allowed to eat it. You don't have to. You can't, whatever. This is something that you're allowed to do. It's God's property on Shmita. God says, Li haaretz, the land is mine. Everything that goes on is mine. You can't buy and sell what's mine. But if you want, you can eat it. You can eat from my table during the Shemitah year, and that's a fine thing to do. However, having said this, both the Sridei Eish and the Chazon Ish, both great rabbinic authorities in the middle of the 20th century, said that what the Ramban says is not that it's actually an obligatory mitzvah, but that if you do it, you can fulfill a mitzvah. And so you fulfill a mitzvah when you eat the produce of the Shemitah. They say not that you're obligated to go out and eat the produce of the Shemitah. Other people disagree, and the simplest reading of the Ramban, of course, is that you do in fact fulfill a mitzvah every time you eat produce of the Shemitah year. And if the Ramban is correct, or even if the Sridei Eish and the Chazon Ish are correct, it's still a wonderful thing to either perform a positive mitzvah in eating it, or if not that, to at least be able to fulfill a mitzvah. I fulfilled a mitzvah even though I wasn't obligated to do this. And every mitzvah is a way of getting closer and closer to God. So you have an opportunity by eating the peros of the Shemitah year, by eating the fruit of the Shemitah year, to get, every time you take a bite of sustenance, to get closer to God.
So it's like there is sanctity to the produce that grows in Israel, in the Holy Land, within the borders, during the Shemitah year. And it should be something you would want to do.
If you want to get closer to God, it is something that you should want to do, to eat produce of the Shemitah year.